Guys, I've done some videos recently, um, just kind of poking fun at what all these people have been doing as far as this whole thing that's been going around where they want to target fake news. Um, this here, this right here, guys, could really be the culmination of events that have been going on for years that could really honestly could change things forever. And Grendel61, he made a video about this that brought this to my attention. Um, and I feel like there was quite a few things that were left out that I need to share with you guys. That is one of the great things about our community of people trying to get the truth out to the American people. Everybody finds different pieces of true information, and everybody has uh, different takes when certain events happen. And sometimes it takes even the best of us to come across three or four or five different angles on something um, before you can really um, fully get a grasp on it. Sometimes it's too easy to get emotionally set off by these things and not really take the time to really um, give thought to what's going on as much as you normally would because you're shocked. And I've seen a lot of crazy stuff, and I gotta say I never thought that I would see this happen. But this is really going on. This is really getting serious. Um, with any sort of luck at all, this is something that will not materialize and will dodge another bullet. But as we all know, Obama still has a couple more months in office, and this thing is not even close to over. Now, what we have here, and I'm sorry to kind of drag out my introduction for those of you who aren't aware of what's going on, is H.R. 6393. It's the Intelligence Authorization Act for fiscal year 2017. Okay? And this is a bill that they're trying to pass into law, and on December 1st, it passed the House and was sent to the Senate. Okay, and if you're wondering what this bill is, let me show you what's important to note here. Okay, and it says this bill authorizes FY 2017 appropriations for the conduct of intelligence and intelligence related activities of, and then it lists all of these departments that you see here. Now, this bill establishes an executive branch interagency committee to counteract to counteractive measures by the Russian Federation to exert covert influence over peoples and governments. It places travel restrictions on personnel and counselors of the Russian Federation in the United States. The ODNI must implement a uniform policy to ensure the independence of inspectors general of the intelligence community. The Office of the National Counterintelligence Executive is redesignated as National Counterintelligence and Security Center, with a director to be appointed by the president with the advice and consent of the Senate. So, brass tacks here. Um, Obama has basically set up another branch of the government. And what this branch is designed to do primarily is to counter Russian propaganda, right? And what are they saying about Russian propaganda? They're trying to say that Russian propaganda won Donald Trump the election, and they're trying to say that 90% of the websites out there that are trying to get the American people the truth are, in fact, knowingly or unknowingly regurgitating Russian propaganda. Now, as we already know, 2013 NDAA, they overturned the Smith-Mundt Act, allowing the U.S. government to use propaganda against the American people. And so they've been using the mainstream media, amongst other things, as propaganda against the American people. If you pretty much talk to anybody, they can tell you that pretty much they don't really know what happened, but sometime in the past, like 2 to 3 years, it seems like this whole country just went batshit crazy. Well, isn't it rather interesting that this all seemed to happen uh, more or less all since the time that they overturned the Smith-Mundt Act and allowed propaganda in the United States against the American people. Now, what this is basically saying is even though it's not exactly creating a new branch of the government, it's basically creating a new branch of the government that's solely dedicated to countering Russian propaganda. And one of the sites that keeps getting referenced over and over and over is propornot.com, which I have showcased in my video, where they bring up anybody from Alex Jones to Matt Drudge. And essentially what's going to happen is if this thing does go through the Congress and gets signed into law, all of these sites in essence are going to get shut down. The alternative media is as it exists on the internet will cease to exist, which basically means the First Amendment is now completely null and void, because that includes freedom of the press, and the Constitution doesn't say that the government is allowed to decide who the press is and who the press is not. Now, it seems to me that something is definitely culminating, and it's hard to ignore all of the additional outside factors going on in this thing, because there's so many different aspects of things going on right now. It could drive you insane quickly. But the first thing that I want to point out is considering that this is basically a whole new government agency set up by Barack Obama again. This is basically like at least the third one that he's created in the last 6 months, and there may actually be more. but we know that he has created a division of the government solely for domestic terrorists because apparently Department of Homeland Security was too busy monitoring non-domestic terrorists. And of course, as we all know, the people that they have labeled as domestic terrorists are Christians, conservatives, and people who believe in the Constitution and states' rights and so on and so forth, that these people might be a terrorist. Right? Then he just created this weird agency that we don't seem to know a whole lot about, that is to help transition uh, presidents and presidential candidates into the office of the presidency, which just seems like a pretty weird and random thing to have created. And now they are working on passing this anti-Russian propaganda law. And this is this to me seems like the culmination of stuff that we've been talking about for a long time, but mainly since Jade Helm. It was mainly since Jade Helm when people like Dabu7 and Alex Jones were all over the mainstream news because of their just immense coverage of this thing. And one of the things that a lot of people were talking about was going on with Jade Helm was that they were creating lists, a blue list, green list, and a red list or something like that. And then the whatever list that you category you fell on was going to depend on where you go. And that's when they created all the different FEMA regions across the country. And that's when they started giving guns to every single branch of the government. And it seems pretty interesting that it was around that time that they started making this, though not too long after that, started making this agency focusing on domestic terrorism solely, when a lot of their lists say that the people they're going to target as domestic terrorists are basically Christians, conservatives, people who believe in freedom, and so on and so forth. So if they use that, and then they turn around and pass this law about the Russian propaganda, if you're anybody who is even reading or is feeding out any information that's anything remotely close to what's coming out by people like Dabu7 and Alex Jones and True News and Next News Network and so on and so forth, when they pass this law, then they can use this in conjunction with the new agency, and they can claim that you are a domestic terrorist. Okay, that's what this seems like. This is building up to me. Now, there's a whole bunch of outside factors all culminating at the same time that just seem like a pretty weird coincidence. Because this is all taking off right around the same time that this whole not just the Hillary Clinton emails thing blew up, but the whole Pizzagate thing, which could very well be one of the biggest bombshell leaks in the history of the world, next to maybe Edward Snowden's, if it is in fact true. And with all of that going on as well, there's a lot of speculation that Julian Assange of WikiLeaks is either dead or detained by the CIA, and that the CIA is now in fact in control of WikiLeaks. And at the same time, the man who revealed the maybe one of the biggest secrets of all time, Edward Snowden, is in Russia, right? And a whole lot of people, including Donald Trump, say he's a traitor, right? Now, not only do you have all this stuff going on, but in the whole meantime, we just had a huge big deal going on in Turkey where they had a coup. They blamed it on us for harboring Gulen, and they arrested like 130,000 people or something like that, right? And next thing you know, they get their relationship closer back to Russia, and then the next thing you know, out of the middle of nowhere, they back off from Russia and declare war on Syria. Right? So there's some weird stuff going on over there, and it very well looks like we could be on the verge of heading to World War III. I mean, there's so much stuff going on that could all be a factor in all this that I can't even keep track of it anymore. You know, one of the first executive orders that Obama made was the National Resource Preparedness Act, which basically gave the government the right to enslave everybody and everything, right? And it seems like, especially in the last year and a half, definitely since they overturned the Smith-Mundt Act in 2013, it seems like there's been a slow build-up to actually fulfilling and activating that executive order. And you have to wonder about the timing of this thing, right? Because now on one hand, we all know that Donald Trump is a big supporter of the police state. And chances are, under his presidency, with all the good he's going to do, we all know the police state is probably going to increase 10 times over. But even with that said, you know that Trump's not going to stand for a law like this when he's got Bannon from Breitbart as his chief advisor. They got to know that as soon as Trump gets in office, that he's going to overturn this thing, right? And so it got to make you wonder if Obama is doing this now. It really makes you wonder if he's actually going to leave office, y'all. I mean, do you really think for a minute that Obama's going to go through they're going to go through all the trouble and get this law passed and get Obama to sign it just so Trump can veto it amongst the 100 other things he's going to veto when he gets in the office in 2 months? It just doesn't make any sense. So there's something definitely bigger at play here. So I don't know. These are just some of the aspects about it that a lot of people need to think about. But free speech as you know it is officially gone if they sign this thing. So we need to watch this, and we need to watch this real carefully because man, this is not good. And that's it, y'all. I don't know what else to say, but keep an eye on this thing because it's just pretty terrifying. This really is. I never thought I would see a day in this country where you might not be able to have free speech anymore, and it looks like it could be a vote away. Who knew? I sure didn't.